Hey MotoAmerica fans, this is Cam Peterson. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel for more coverage. Also like and comment.
Saturday at Pitt Race, a former Superbike champ returned to shake up the podium. And Tony Elias will come across the stripe in second place. Meanwhile, Matthew Scoltz roared to a fourth consecutive podium of his own. But the more things change, the more things stay the same, as Jake Gagne continues his assault on the field with his 12th straight win. Jake Gagne comes through the final corner and will log victory number 12 of the season. Can anyone slow down the number 32's ascension to the throne? MotoAmerica HONOS Superbike is right now on FS1. You've landed on the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. From Pittsburgh International Race Complex in Wampum, Pennsylvania, it's round 7 of the MotoAmerica Superbikes at Pittsburgh Race 2. Welcome everyone to HONOS Superbike and Pitt Race, and welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time champ Jason Pridmore. Now, Jason, Jake Gagne, he walked away with it yesterday, but there was plenty of drama to talk about in yesterday's race, and the internet, of course, blew up last night about it.
Yeah, I think Loris Baz and Matthew Scoltz going back and forth there at the beginning of the race. For me personally, it's just good, hard racing, and we can get into that a little bit more as we go today. As you see here, the battle for third on our highlight package. Loris goes up underneath Matthew and gives him a pretty good little nudge out of the way. Cam Peterson is able to sneak up underneath Baz, only for Loris to crash a couple of laps later, unfortunately. Matthew Scoltz started making his way back forward to the front as he passed his friend Cam Peterson for third. Gagne was cruising out in front. And oh yeah, by the way, Tony Elias ends up getting second, coming in here as a replacement rider for Josh Herrin to give that Attack Yamaha Fresh and Lean team a 1-2 finish.
Now we have Superbike Cup that happens during the HONOS Superbike races, and leading the championship is this guy, Jake Lewis, who's having an impressive run this season. He has 245 points, 6 wins. These are stock 1,000 spec machines that are invited to race inside a HONOS Superbike. Travis Wyman in second and Corey Alexander in third, and Jake Lewis with a great finishing result yesterday. So let's welcome in Jamie Howe, who's on the grid with Jake Lewis.
Greg, these riders don't only get to race with the Superbike class, but they also get to practice and qualify. And for Jake Lewis, he says that has definitely made him a better rider, a better racer over the course of this season. You finished 9th in the race yesterday, Jake. What is the goal for race 2?
Honestly, kind of repeat yesterday. Get a good start and try to latch onto the lower end of the Superbike guys. Yesterday I had a really good ride. I was behind Kyle, the Wyman, there for majority of the race, and then 5 laps to go, kind of had a little bit of an issue and dropped 2 positions. I was 7th overall, which would have been a little bit better, but we made some changes for today, and I feel good. And same plan, get a good start, go like hell, and try to get away from the rest of the stock boys.
One rider that shows that this model works is now full-time in Superbike is Cameron Peterson, and he's with Hannah Lopa.
And Jamie, with 11 top 5 finishes and 4 podiums so far this season in the Superbike class, Cameron Peterson is certainly coming into his own. Cam, you were second fastest in warm-up this morning. How do you plan to carry that momentum into this race?
Yeah, we definitely stumbled across something this morning in warm-up. Just, we made the bike a lot easier to ride. It was a bit of a handful yesterday, but yeah, I actually just rode with a little bit of anger this morning and went out and charged from the very first lap. And yeah, it seemed like we made some progress with the motorcycle. It's a lot calmer to ride. So yeah, again, I just got to be a little bit more assertive those first few laps. I keep saying it, but just got to do it and put my head down and get a good start and go with these guys. I think we've got some pace today, and should be a lot closer than yesterday.
Thanks, Cam. Best of luck out there. Guys.
All right, I don't know about Cam Peterson in anger. He's one of the nicest guys. But, Jay, here's what all the riders contend with this 2.8-mile pit race circuit.
Yeah, and it's a lot of ups and downs. It's a big roller coaster is this place, and great spectator viewing between turn 2 and 3. They get to see all the action and passes going up into there. You go down into turn 5, up over the top of turn 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are all back-to-back S's that these riders have been looking for grip on all week long. Turn 14 leads down into the chicane there that they've built here to make the track a little safer. 17 and 18, we can see some shots fired down there as they come back towards that finish line.
So a good look at Pitt Race for this race that's going to happen now. Let's take a look at the Ducati Fast Lap with Roger Hayden, who's going to give us an onboard look at Pitt Race.
Let's look at a few spots on my Ducati V4S. You can't come to Pitt Race and not talk about elevation. As you drive out of turn 1, up over turn 2, you can't see the short straight heading to turn 3. Then, as you're driving up out of turn 5 to 6, the other side is completely blind. Not only is the bike wanting to spin up, it's also really trying to wheelie at the top of 6. Then turn 14. The track is actually falling away as you enter, so it's really hard to see the apex. Finding good reference points for these corners will be key.
Definitely a fan favorite and a racer favorite. Can this guy get lucky number 13? Let's find out.
Fresh and lean on his helmet, and boy, he's been pretty lean too. I mean, he's been stingy with giving up opportunities for somebody to take a victory. It was only the very first race of the season, and I said it to his crew yesterday. I said it was a godsend that he didn't win that first race, because honestly, think about it. If he had the opportunity, mechanically he was up there near the front in second place, as you pointed out to me, Roger. If he had been out in front and he's done what he's done from now, and if he was able to take that victory, we'd be talking about the undefeated season. That's pressure I don't think that he ever wants to deal with.
Yeah, but also, I mean, you got to think he definitely doesn't want his bike to break in a race in DNF, so I think he would definitely prefer having another 20 or 25-point lead right now, even though he has a huge lead. But, man, everything's going his way, and he attacks every practice, every qualifier from the very first lap.
You're seeing Tony Elias stretching out those forearms and stuff, and that could be a thing with him. I know he probably wasn't training like he was going to jump in, you know, up until the past couple of weeks into the racing. And that's one thing as a racer that's kind of been sitting out a while, is not hanging on too hard and trying to relax yourself during these long races. They're going to be 17 laps.
Just like you said, staying relaxed, remembering to breathe, not, you know, having a lot of time on a bike that he's even rode before.
Right.
You know, just gives you that extra little stress and anxiety. But, you know, Tony's a guy that's been around. He's got a lot of experience, and he's did great this weekend. And today, after having a race yesterday, I would assume that today he could be even a little better. And also, I think Tony is proving that he still belongs here.
You see that symbol and that star. He's got a shoe brand that's coming out, and he knew yesterday that was some of the best advertisement he could absolutely ask for. And it's coming out here soon, based in Los Angeles, but I think he's going to be selling it around the world. And it's a great opportunity for him to show that he's still got it. I think that's the big thing. And I said it before, I thought that he was going to get that Ducati ride, but Loris Baz did get that Ducati ride, and he beats everybody but Jake Gagne yesterday.
Yeah, and it had to be, I mean, it was super impressive what he did. And like you said, Tony still wants to race. He still has the fire. He still has the desire. He wants to be out here. And, you know, this weekend he's really showcasing what he can do. Just think if he's had the whole season and the offseason to test.
Good call showing that guy right there. Look who he's in between. I mean, he's back there a little ways. Bobby Fong didn't get the starting spot he wanted. Yesterday, started from pit lane, had to work his way up through literally almost everybody in the field. Bobby Fong could be a hard charger. He's going to be aggressive off the start.
He will. He came through yesterday all the way last up to 8th place, 8th or 9th. So if he can get a good start, he's been fast all week. And hopefully Bobby needs a good race. You know, he's had a lot of little issues this year, and hopefully today can be a good one.
The teammate, the 45 on that M4X Star Suzuki. I think Cam Peterson, and we heard from him just before. I had talked to Cam, and he said they found something. He said, you know, getting that suspension dialed in, it makes him feel more confident. It's not like he's got any more rear grip than he had before, but the bike feels better underneath him.
And when the bike feels better underneath you, you just have a lot more confidence. You know, getting on the throttle, getting into the corner. And if you think about how many corners at this track, a little bit in each corner is going to add up pretty quick.
Well, Loris Baz is going to have to start in 11th. The guy he battled with at the start of the last race was Matthew Scoltz. He's going to start on that front roll. Scoltz, he says, there he goes in the 11. If he can get a start, get up there in front. That's his objective. If you're going to beat Jake Gagne, that's going to have to be what you got to do, is get up there in front early. Gagne, Elias Scoltz on the front row.
Today's Superbike coverage is sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by Medallia, the pioneer and market leader in customer and employee experience.
Yeah, although there's a lot of fun to be had on the racetrack, Thursday before the event, a friend of mine, Dan Yazza from Ace Archers of Columbus, brought out archery tag, Jason, and we had Matthew Skoltz in the mix. You can see what Jake Gagne, and yeah, they're little marshmallows. These guys got a little crazy. They got a little crazy shooting each other. Skoltz, Cam Peterson, Gagne, Sean Dillon Kelly was in the mix from Super Sport. But here's pole position based off of the results from yesterday.
Gagne, Elias, and Skoltz are going to be on that front row, and then we have Cam Peterson and Hector Barbera. Kyle Wyman gets start there in row number 2. Bradley Ward, Bobby Fong, Jake Lewis. Row 4 is going to be fun to watch. Hayden Gillen, Loris Baz, and Corey Alexander. Expect those 3 guys to try to get going forward. Wyatt Ferris, Gilbert, and Wyman. Flinders, Jason Waters, and Hunter Dunham. Then we have Dave Anthony, Jeremy Coffey. Good to see Jeremy back. He's had some problems the last couple weekends. Jeff Perk, Giannato Lee, and Rissinger there on row number 8. Then we have Ashton Yates, a guy that just on Wednesday bought the bike he's riding. Danilo Lewis there is also with Gerardo.
Oh, this just happened. What is that, a woodchuck? In the middle. Oh.
Oh, he's ready to fight.
Dismounts at 10.
Ready to go.
Yeah. All right, well.
And he's off. All right, that's good.
And we're almost getting ready to get off here. Race number 2 of HONOS Superbike. Here at Pitt Race, Jake Gagne, your pole sitter. How about Tony Elias? Can he get another great start and battle the 32? Will he as a fill-in rider for Josh Herron? Clutches are out. Gagne with a good launch. So did Tony Elias and Cam Peterson on the 45. Tony Elias going up the inside. He'll take over second spot. Cam P in third, just ahead of his countryman Matthew Skoltz.
And you heard him say he made that bike easier to ride this morning, so let's see if that makes it easier for Cam Peterson to stick with these guys early. Matthew Skoltz makes an early bid and gets by Peterson as they go into turn 3. Good to see Bobby Fong up there after some bad luck in that opening lap yesterday as well.
After a change to the motorcycle this morning for the freshly attack performance Yamaha of Tony Elias, he went a second faster than he's gone all weekend, and he's hoping he can stick with Jake Gagne and break away from the rest of the field, at least for the first couple of laps. So is the rest of this field. Great
Baz
job
like
by Bobby.
Baz right there. He went underneath Hector Barbera and ran him a little bit wide. Baz wants to get to the front. The problem is, unfortunately, Loris yesterday didn't get to run all of the laps. So whatever setups they continued to work on to refine that motorcycle this morning, that's what he's going to have to run with. It's really hard to give up that many laps to the field. But Baz, being as experienced as he is, he's already come, Greg, from the 4th row up to what I believe is 7th spot now, or 8th spot, just behind Kyle Wyman.
Boy, this sector is where Jake Gagne really shines, and already putting some daylight between himself and his weekend teammate, Tony Elias. Through the chicane they go for the first time. Gagne well under control. You can see, though, the urgency that Gagne has. He's so good on fresh tires. It's unbelievable.
But look what's happened. It's going to be under a second again to Tony Elias. And Matthew Skoltz, really good first lap from the number 11 as well. Let's see what it is, Greg. It's 0.6 of a second as our leaders go over the board, or over the line rather. Now you see how Tony gets that bike back in. The only problem with that is that he's got to wait for those wheels to come back into line to really get going. And there's 2 spots the 24 does that to me loses him some time. See how Gagne gets in there? Both wheels are in line. He can roll off in there. Tony's just being a little bit sideways. He might be getting in a little bit deeper at the time, but he's also got to wait for those tires to get back in line.
Yeah, just reducing that roll speed. So a 42.4 from a dead stop for Jake Gagne, as Gagne continues to show the rest of this field how to go fast in the early stages. It's all about that first 5 or 6 laps for Gagne.
And now watch, this is a spot where Tony goes into turn 7 there. Bike stays in line. Look at the roll speed he's able to carry. He was extremely fast through all this S section yesterday. This is now the sector 2 portion of where we're at. He runs a little bit wide there, but he is probably, Greg, arguably been the guy that's kept the race closest on the first lap that we've seen all year when Gagne gets out front. So Matthew Skoltz, also not known to be the best at the first 2 laps of the race. He's also showing a lot of pace. As the sector 2 times come up on our screen, sector 1, all these guys were the exact same. Sector 2, Gagne and Skoltz are both at 34.1. So that little mistake Tony made in turn 10 there is what opened up that gap.
Tony Elias filling in for Josh Herron, who's at home recovering from COVID-19. and hoping to get back in race action for our penultimate round of the season in Jersey in about 3 weeks' time. But Tony Elias doing a great job filling in for Herron this weekend on the freshly attack performance Yamaha. A little mistake there. Hard to find the apex for Elias as he gets on the binders. Matthew Skoltz looking really good. The difference in size on the same motorcycle, the Yamaha R1, omnipresent on our screen. A 40.5 for Jake Gagne as he comes across the stripe. The first flying lap of the race. For Tony Elias, a 40.8. Elias trying to keep Jake Gagne honest, but Matthew Skoltz may have something to say about it, Jamie.
And one of the things that they discovered yesterday during the race is that they lost a lot more grip than what they expected based off of how practice in the 2 qualifying sessions went. So in order to adjust that, I was talking to their crew chief, Ed Sullivan. He said they made some adjustments in the electronics with the torque and the traction control, hoping just to get the grip to last for all 17 laps. He did maintain a podium finish yesterday, but they're looking to move up another step today.
Yeah, and track conditions have been changing during the course of the weekend. I mentioned in yesterday's race that we had a couple weeks of rain here in the Pittsburgh area. We had rain on Thursday, on Friday as well, overnight. And so this track really starting to come in. Although, Jason, with the sun kind of hiding behind some of these clouds, the track temperature isn't quite as high as some of these teams had hoped it would be.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be okay. We're looking at lap times now. Again, 40.5 on that very opening lap. First 4 guys all in the 40s. You know, and the reason I was bringing up what I was talking about when it comes to Tony is that he's such a point and shoot kind of rider. I think Pittsburgh lends itself for the Yamaha. The Yamaha is known for being able to roll high corner speeds and things like that. And you can see when he backs it in there into turn 1 that time, it was much straighter instead of him doing what we've seen him do in the past, where he's been able to get a bike right to the apex by holding on to that lever and diving down. And I noticed it last time into turn 3. This is a lot better. See, that bike's going to be able to roll in there. You saw that time, Greg, how he kept it out a little bit longer. The bike backs in, but it gets into line a lot quicker as he releases that lever.
The battle for second place between 24 Tony Elias and the number 11 Matthew Skoltz rages on. And how about this, from 11th place, we're looking at Loris Baz, who's trying to work his way into podium contention after yesterday's disaster. Now, Jason, there was a little bit of contact between himself and Skoltz. You talked about it earlier in the broadcast and the highlights. There was some drama made about that over the course of the evening, and of course the Westby team went to talk to Race Control. Race Control talked to Loris Baz. What's your take on the contact from yesterday?
Well, the biggest problem is that there's history between those two, and it seems like when Baz and Skoltz get together, Skoltz usually ends up coming out on the wrong end of that. But that said, we need to see good, tight, close racing, and really, to me, that's what yesterday was. And I know that there was some problems there with how hard he was hit. I really believe that had it been anybody else, Skoltz would probably blow it off. But the problem is it kind of seems like it's Loris all the time. That said, I don't want to see Race Direction have to keep getting involved in certain things, and I think that we want to see good hard racing. All of these guys are frustrated by the fact that there's one guy winning. Gagne gets out front, he darts away, everybody's trying to get to the front and go there as well, and there's going to be contact. Some of these tracks we go to, Greg, we know they're tight, they're hard to pass on, there's only enough room for one bike, and every now and then if those guys get side by side, you're going to see a little bit contact.
All right, Jay, as Gagne continues to lead the way here, 1.9 now as Tony Elias and Matthew Skoltz going at it. Skoltz just trying to keep that motorcycle at bay, going over one of the many of the crest of the hills here at Pitt Race. Now a 140.586, the fastest lap of the race by Gagne in lap 2. The lap record here was Cameron Beaubier last year at a 140.550. So just 36 thousandths of a second off of that track record is Jake Gagne. But now without somebody pushing him, I think that lap record might be safe.
And I think Matthew has pace here. I really do. I think that if he can get by Tony Elias here, that he might be able to at least kind of keep that gap a little bit closer. You can still see Gagne in our shot. Matthew's doing everything he can as he has a look. There it is. That's the pass that he needed to make. And now I think that you'll see Matthew get his head down. I believe you'll also see him get into the very low 41s, maybe even duck back into the high 40s, because you can see that there's a little bit of a gap. Now, Tony, we know what he'll do. He'll dig in, but keep in mind, Bobby Fong has moved himself past Cam Peterson too, and the 50 is another one of those guys that in the middle parts of these races just kind of grinds those laps out, and he'll find himself in this podium contention as well as the race wanes on.
Tony Elias, up over the curb as you got to maintain it. So Elias with a bit of a mistake there, Hannah.
Yeah, Greg, I spoke to Tony this morning, and he said yesterday, you know, the theme of the weekend for all the riders really has been about refining the setup to get more rear grip. And in warm-up, they made some big changes to the rear of that motorcycle for more grip on the gas, and it also improved grip on the edge of the tire, so he felt a lot better over yesterday. You know, he wasn't expecting a podium yesterday, but he settled into a really good pace on his own. But, you know, Tony Elias is never one to shy away from a battle, so this race could get interesting here as the laps carry on.
Yeah, and Elias with a 40.8, his fastest lap of the race so far. And now, though, with that jumping, that motocross style of the chicane, he's falling into the clutches of Sunday Fong. This guy, Bobby Fong, M4 X-Star Suzuki, just shows up on Sunday and just starts to put the hammer down.
And was it a brake lever adjuster yesterday that he saw?
That's correct. Aftermarket part.
Okay, so on the warm-up lap, he saw that, he pulled in, he kind of missed start, so he started last. But we know how gutsy of a rider Bobby Fong is. But I really like what I'm seeing right now out of Matthew Skoltz. That last lap was 41.8, but let's see now that he gets that first real clear lap. Our leader's at a 41.3. And keep in mind, Matthew had to get by. It was a half-second slower, but he had to get by Tony to do that time. Baz has now made his way through on Cam Peterson as well. So now he's going to have those 3 guys ahead of him as markers to see if he can close that gap down.
There's a good look at Jake Gagne as he's controlling the pace of this race again. Oh, and he is just having some fun.
Yeah.
He just opened up the throttle and just spun it up a little sideways. But is Matthew Skoltz starting to catch him on the Westby Racing Yamaha R1? It has been a lot of Yamaha wins this season. I believe they've swept the podium, Jason, 3 times. So looking for another Suzuki on the podium from Bobby Fong. And there's so much time left in this race, and there's so much tire wear as well. As we've talked about, the track surface keeps changing. But Skoltz right now doing a great job to hang on a second.
And it's as I expected. He goes 41.4, so he's in that lower 41 bracket. 41.6 for Gagne. Very rarely after 6 laps have we said that somebody actually closed the gap to Gagne. So we'll see if Matthew can keep going. I was lucky enough to talk a little bit to Chuck Chiquetto of the Westby team on Friday, and they were really happy with how the bike rolled out and the pace that Matthew showed on our first day here. And right now it looks like they've probably made things a little bit better, but Tony's doing what Tony does. He's continuing to get used to this motorcycle and go along with these guys as he goes 41.5, Bobby Fong 41.4. These guys are all solidly in the 41s, but the neat thing was that Gagne didn't really get away that much that lap.
And talking with Tony Elias earlier today, we were talking about race pace and what he expected, and he said, look, the first couple laps are going to be 40s. Then we're going to settle into these 41s, kind of mid to highs, and then by the end of the race, we're probably going to be running 42 lows. So Tony was really able to put into context how he's going to pace himself in this race. Now, the other question was, how hard is Tony Elias going to push? Jason, it's a guest ride, right? Like, this is a fill-in ride for Josh Herrin. It's Josh Herrin's motorcycle. Does Tony Elias let it all hang out and possibly put this motorcycle and himself at risk just to hold on to a podium? Well, he said, look, I've had conversations with Yamaha all the way from if I'm close to Jake Gagne at the end of the race to a podium, what do I do? He didn't tell me what it is, but he's got a plan in his head as to what he's able to risk and what not. Either way, what Tony Elias is doing this weekend is impressive. Off the couch to a podium and now battling for a second.
Yep, and he's got Bobby Fong having a look here, and Tony was a little bit offline there in turn 1, and really what this ride goes back to is that Tony's going to come here and try to win the race, do the best he can. There's one guy he cannot touch on the racetrack. There's one guy that he can't, when I say touch, I mean run into, and that is his teammate Jake Gagne. He's going to know that already. But his job at that point is just to get the best result that he can.
And Bobby Fong is trying to take that best result away, isn't he, Jamie?
And for the last 2, Fong has had the fastest lap time out there on the racetrack right now, and that was really a point of contention yesterday. You mentioned that brake lever problem that they had. He had to bring it to pit lane. They were able to muster up an 8th place finish, which is where they started the race today, already racing up into the 4th. And this morning in the warm-up, they tried a couple of things just to get a little more longevity out of those tires, but it was inclusive. They knew they had the pace for their setup from race 1 yesterday, and it seems to be paying off today.
Yeah, additionally, in talking to Chris Ulrich about Bobby Fong, Jason, you know, the opportunity for a rider, after something like that happens, a brake adjuster, you got to come in, your race is ruined. The expectation is, how is the rider going to come in after the race is over? Are they going to be bummed? Are they going to be angry? What the deal was? And Chris said Bobby Fong came in and said, we did some good laps today. We got some good data. I'm so excited to race tomorrow. And so they knew his head was in the right space as they head off to the pillows last night.
Absolutely. And, you know, the thing is, as a rider, the last thing you want to have any problems with or any thoughts about is brakes, okay? So the fact that he was able to get back out there, run those laps, find himself in that top 10, which also made it easier for him as a start today. He didn't have to go back to that 4th row. He got to start on that 3rd row today. When you start to look at it, they pulled some positives from a negative situation, and he's just had some bad luck this year, as the team with this number 50 bike as well. So this is really nice to see them putting it down right now. Bobby's right there behind Tony. You saw him a lap ago. He took a look down in the S section from turn 7 to turn 9, exactly where Matthew was able to get by Tony. Bobby took a shot at the same spot. So they're getting close to that place now, Greg. 2 corners from now, we'll see if Bobby tries to put that same pass on Tony that Matthew Skoltz did just a few laps earlier. So they're going to swing it right here, get back to the left. If Tony opens up this next left at all, Bobby Fong wants to straight line this, but he's not quite close enough.
Yeah, it looks like the changes that have been made to the Fresh and Lean Attack Performance Yamaha of Tony Elias about getting better drive, getting that tire to grip into the asphalt on acceleration seems to be working. Where Tony struggled a little bit with the tire feeling like it's sitting on top of the asphalt and not really digging in. So Richard Stamboli, really put his head down and said, okay, let's go ahead and make some subtle changes that are going to help you out, and they seem to be working.
One of the things that I always hear you talking about is pit boards and how important they are to riders, as it's our only communication. And I was watching the last few laps here, and the lap times were fairly consistent with what Matthew Skoltz and Jake Gagne were doing. Both riders were doing 41s. Jake Gagne now just dropped back into the 40s, 40.7. He didn't see that gap getting any bigger at the pace he was going, so he automatically just drops the pace back down to 40.7. And he probably saw now when he comes across the board, he's going to see that he's got +3, +3.5 as he drops back into the 41s here. But just a lap ago, Greg, he went from doing a 41.3 back to the 40.7. So it kind of shows you what the 32 out front has in reserve if he needs it.
Yeah, he is just on another planet. Tony Elias looks like he's closed the gap slightly to Matthew Skoltz. As Skoltz now comes into clearer view for Tony Elias, is Skoltz starting to have some tire issues? Is the pace really the same for Skoltz? You know, 41.7 to 41.6 last time by. It just kind of visually looks like it, Jay, but on our timing screens, it looks all the same.
There are just places where I think that, one's better than the other, and I think that that's what we're seeing. And there's going to be spots like this. Tony's actually really fast through these S's. This is where we saw Matthew get by him. But there's places where it seems like Tony can close that gap, and then he loses the gap in other spots. So, when they came across the line last time, the difference between the two was 0.6 of a second. And then when they got up to turn 3 this time, it looked like it was about 0.3, didn't it?
Yeah, it certainly did. Battle for second place, really, we're looking at as Matthew Skoltz on the Westby Racing Yamaha leads this duo of Tony Elias, 24, freshly attacked Performance Yamaha, Bobby Fong, who's making an aggressive move into the chicane. Wow. And Bobby with his hand in the air just to let Tony know, hey, but Tony answers right back, as Tony does. Oh, Fong had a bit of a moment there. Tony might have tried to park him. So a little pass and pass back action by Bobby Fong, M4X Star Suzuki. Things are starting to get a little chippy for that final spot on the podium.
Yeah, well, both these guys are fighting, and both these guys want this result. Tony would love to leave here with a couple of podiums, and after what Bobby went through yesterday, he's just looking for a podium. And you can see their lines are significantly different. Wow, Bobby just rode around the outside of him going up over the top of that rise. Tony looked like he was going to have position, but Bobby Fong makes that pass, Greg.
Oh, he's so
I don't know
deep.
if I've seen anybody do that before.
That was unreal by Bobby Fong. That's how urgent it is for Fong as he sees second place so close. He doesn't want to let Skoltz get away.
That's a big commitment, because when you're coming up over the top of that hill on a Superbike, it's 4th gear, flat out, going up over the top of that thing, and you can't see the other side, but you know the grass is over there. And again, we heard in the Ducati Fast Lap with Raj, finding good markers around this place is everything, and Bobby's really confident going up over the top of that rise.
So M4X Star Suzuki's Bobby Fong has worked his way into 3rd place, starting to put a little daylight between himself and Tony Elias. Especially coming out of the corner, it seems to be where Tony might be struggling ever so slightly to maintain that acceleration of the Suzuki. Jay, left part of your screen.
Yeah, you can see Bobby makes this pass and makes this commitment really, really late to get himself in there, and he gets the bike turned. I cannot tell you how hard it is to get in there like that. It almost looks like he just, it looks like he just kind of waved off, like, sorry. It's going to be one of those, sorry, it was a little bit late there. But Tony had already cut it back up underneath him. But this pass here is incredible, because you can see how close he gets to the grass.
Running out of racetrack.
And that's going to be wide open. If that bike gets a little bit out of shape or anything, you saw what happened to Travis Wyman in that area yesterday. That's the same area. Bobby Fong is able to carry that roll speed up over the top of that hill and get through. And now he's trying to close this gap down to Matthew Skoltz.
And that Suzuki looks like it is just dialed in right now. It's Fong enjoying the ride, and this is what happens with Bobby Fong on Sunday. Seems like they get some things sorted out. Now back to Loris Baz.
Yeah, and he got by Cam Peterson a few laps ago. It looked like he was going to pull away, but these guys, 43.3, 43.4 that time for Cam. So these guys are now kind of running the same pace. The guys out in front of them are some, what are they, Greg, 6 seconds up the road. So they're 12 seconds behind the leader. And Cam's going to try to get back on the back of Baz here and do something with him in the closing stages of the race.
The Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati New York entrant of Loris Baz doing a good job right now, Hannah.
He is, Greg. Starting from 11th is not ideal from him after not finishing yesterday's race. The rules state that he has to start from further back on the grid. So making up all those spots is really impressive, running 5th right now. But ultimately, he knows once he's able to kind of charge through that pack, Jake has already set sail on the rest of the field. And talking to him about getting the bike situated, he tried a different fork setting here this weekend that he liked at Brainerd. So he thinks it'll pay off for the race, and hopefully it'll help him keep Cameron Peterson at bay. Ultimately, Loris is still looking for that elusive win this season, and he's willing to ride to the limit every single race weekend to get that. If crashing is the consequence of that, then he feels fine with that result as long as he knows he gave it his all.
And that makes a lot of sense when you're not racing for the championship, as Baz is to let it all hang out. Plus, you know, to add to that, Jason, Loris Baz had a lot of eyes on him when he came to MotoAmerica, and there was a lot of expectation put on his shoulders. With this motorcycle, the fact that it comes directly from Bologna, directly from the factory, and the crew that they have, a great crew underneath that canopy, I think a lot of expectations were on the shoulders of Baz.
And a world-class rider. I mean, he is absolutely a world-class rider. Now we have Hector Barbera, who's been closed up. Kyle Wyman here. Kyle Wyman's closed that gap back down. I've been watching this out my window. At one time, Kyle was out in front of Barbera. Barbera got by him, pulled away from him, and now Kyle's just kind of gritting his teeth and trying to get back on the back of this BMW, and he does it again, Greg, going up over that same rise that we saw his brother get out of shape on yesterday. Kyle Wyman makes that pass. 42.2 fastest lap for Kyle Wyman in this race. They're operating now in the low 44s, both of these guys. So, you know, Kyle Wyman coming back from injury. This is his first race back with us in, what, 4 rounds, I believe. You know, coming back from a pretty serious elbow injury.
On the Panera-bred Ducati, battling it out with the Scheibe Racing BMW. And Kyle Wyman, of course, doing a great job today. Jamie, what do you have on Kyle?
Well, you mentioned that injury, Jay, and one of the things that he's struggled with is just the strength of that left arm, and he said that today he's much more sore than what he was yesterday. It just progressively has gotten worse as the weekend has moved on, so he just needed to get through these 17 laps. You know, the best way to train is to be out on the racetrack, so that was really what he was looking to do. He's feeling the frustrations on board that Ducati. He said, you know, we're always trying to find something. We're always looking. Everything we try, it doesn't seem to work, and it's always problems in the chassis and in their setups, but they're working through it as a team, and it's making him stronger, so they really needed these laps just to work through some of their issues.
Yeah, with about 3.5 weeks off until we go to New Jersey Motorsports Park for Kyle Wyman, he's going to really enjoy that and let that elbow rest up. So a yeoman's effort from Wyman to be back in the saddle, battling it out for 7th place. It's Gagne, Skoltz, Fong, Tony Elias in 4th, Loris Baz and Cam Peterson. Wyman has gotten around Hector Barbera, Jake Lewis, who we heard from earlier, in 9th place, with Hayden Gillum, who's back in action this weekend in MotoAmerica, racing Stock 1000 and Superbike Cup, in 10th over Travis Wyman, Corey Alexander, Andrew Lee, Danilo Lewis, and Max Flinders, a fan favorite, in 15th. So, Jay, the laps are winding down as we take a look at Wyman. You know, Wyman and his Panera-bred sponsorship able to test earlier this season here at Pitt Race and was doing 42s, has done a 42.2. But back up front we go to this rider who's now just 1 second off of his fastest lap of the race, controlling the pace out front. Yesterday, around this time, Jason, it was about 8.5 second lead for Jake Gagne. Now it's 4.8, so definitely the field faster today than yesterday. But what are you seeing from Gagne's riding?
Well, we haven't got to see him very much. But what you can tell is it just always looks like he's got a little in reserve. He looks pretty happy with this motorcycle again. And, you know, the bike just doesn't do a lot of things that it was doing last year when he was doing some stuff to the motorcycle to make it act the way it was. I think, again, going back, I hate to sound like a broken record, but he learned a lot dealing with Cameron Beaubier and as a teammate, seeing some of the things that he did. And that's what you're seeing now. And he's so comfortable on this bike from the time they roll it out of the trailer. He's doing race laps in first practice Friday. He's going out and doing race distances, Greg. I mean, he's staying out there for 12, 14 laps in his first runs.
An impressive season, huh, Hannah?
Yeah, Greg, all around from Jake Gagne, no complaints, no really significant changes to the bike. And Jamie and I were over there laughing with him earlier that sometimes no news is good news. But despite all of Jake's success, the way that you guys were just mentioning, he's still out there working hard. He's putting in the work. He still wants to push to go faster and just continue to grow throughout the remainder of this season, win or lose.
Yeah, and you know, it really, if you look at Jake's body language, the way he rides the bike, as he gets held up a little bit in lap traffic, it's going to be no big deal. Patiently getting around Joe Giannotto is Jake Gagne. But, you know, Jason, you look at the way he's really embraced the Superbike riding style, the way he gets it up on the meat of the tire and the way he's using his body to express how the throttle is open and how the throttle closed. It's a marked difference from last year. I think looking at Jake Gagne last year, the movement of the motorcycle was the obvious thing, but there's so many subtle things that a lot of fans don't see that are improved for this year.
Well, I think, you know, in his admission, I almost feel like he was overriding the motorcycle last year instead of letting the team and things kind of work better for him as far as getting the bike set up. And one of the things he mentioned to me at COTA at our test at the beginning of the season, he's like, I've got to relax on the bike more. I've got to do less almost. And what it's done is it's just calmed the whole thing down. This guy comes to the races now just smile. I see him in the airport all the time. He's always got a smile on his face. He's always happy to be coming here. And he doesn't really have any worries. He knows he's going to come here and get on with a great team on a good bike and do the business. And there's right now, there's nobody that can really get near him.
No one can get near him. 5.1 seconds, the lead even through traffic over Matthew Skoltz, who's got a half a second over Bobby Fong. Tony Elias has settled into fourth place, kind of lonely for him. He's got 5 seconds up the road to Fong and Loris Baz.
I think the fact that these guys can still see him is pretty solid, like you were mentioning earlier. It's 5.1, 41.9 that time for Gagne, 42.1s for these two guys chasing him down, Skoltz and Bobby Fong. So it kind of goes to show that these guys can still see him, Greg. It's 5 seconds. But I just wonder, you know, again, how much of that is being controlled by Gagne himself.
Battle for second and third. Bobby Fong working his way through this field, worked his way onto the bottom step of the podium, trying to climb one up on Matthew Skoltz. The question is, with about a lap and a half to go in this HONOS Superbike race, is Bobby Fong pacing himself currently, or is this all he's got? You look at those lap times, 42.1s, just like what I was talking about with Tony Elias and how this race was going to play out in the latter stages. But Jake Gagne still 41.9 last time by. Just enjoying himself.
That's how good the bike looks just coming out of there. Yeah. Everything's in line. You can hear the TC working as we get the white flag. I mean, the bike is just, it's hooked up and it's just going forward all of the time. And these are the spots where the braking areas come in, where you saw a lot more movement from the motorcycle last year. And that's been cut in half, it seems to me, just sitting here from where I'm watching. When you see him come up here into turn 3, Greg. See, the bike last year, we had so much more movement. Here's the battle for second.
So Bobby Fong, it's go time now if he can close the gap on Matthew Skoltz. Skoltz has got to continue with the development of his riding style. We've showcased it a couple times where Skoltz is trying to smooth himself out. Now, Jay, looking at Gagne and talking about the success that he's on, I was in a debrief on Friday with he and his crew chief, and the debrief lasted about 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Yeah.
It was literally like I have seen some debriefs back in the Ben Bostrom days where they would be there for an hour, hour and a half.
Yep.
And it was the direct communication as to what the issue was, what the solution was, and do you want to try it? And Gagne was so open to whatever his crew chief had to say. Yeah, okay, I think that'll work. No, I'm not sure that'll work. And the way that the two communicated, the lack of ego in that communication is part of why we're seeing the success of Jake Gagne. The talent's always been there.
John Cornwell was an amazing rider back in his day as well, so he can relate a little bit to what riders talk and how they feel. And we've seen that through even like Pierre Riba doing crew chiefing for Johnny Ray, Andrew Pitts over there crew chiefing now. So riders that knew how to ride and were so good at communicating with their crew, now they make great crew chiefs themselves.
And it is paying off for Jake Gagne and the Fresh and Lean Attack Performance Yamaha team, as Gagne to the fans will come onto the front straightaway. How do you like lucky number 13 for Jake Gagne? His 13th win of the season and 13th win in a row. And second place will go to Matthew Skoltz, Westby Racing Yamaha. 5.7 seconds. They basically halved the distance between the race win yesterday. Bobby Fong in third place, just ahead of Tony Elias. So Fong putting a stop to the Yamaha sweep here at Pitt Race. Riders continuing to come across. That was Giannato and Jeffrey Perk. And
Barbara.
Gotten around Kyle Wyman. The dash to the flag for another couple championship points. And Barbara will hold on to 7th place behind Cameron Peterson. Baz in 5th. Here's your race pace. We talked about it. Look at that. Lap 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we had a couple.
Lap 8, those I feel like where he kind of broke guys, because they could see they were kind of keeping that distance. You see, he went from a 41.4 to a 40.7, just to say, hey, hold on a minute, I got to just see one more second here on my board when I come back by.
All right, so Jake Gagne with his 13th. We'll talk to him when we return to Pit Race.
Jake Gagne does it once again. Robbie Floyd and Roger Hayden here with you on site and on MotoAmerica Live Plus. Fresh and Lean Yamaha Attack Performance does it again. That's his 13th win of the season. That's going to tie him with Doug Poland and Blake Young for all-time record 14th. Next up on the list, if he gets one more victory, he ties the great Eddie Lawson and Scott Russell. Pretty impressive considering he didn't have a single Superbike win coming into this season, Roger.
No, it's really impressive. Just what he's did this year has been, I don't know, like I've said before, I didn't see it coming. I knew he'd win some races. You know, he's a super talented guy, and it's glad to see it all coming together for him. You know, I know all these other guys are getting tired of seeing him win, but they got some work to do. And it just looks like even in this race, he kind of slowed down. Matt kept the gap the same for a couple laps. And then, you know, I was showing you, he drops 7/10 a couple laps and pulls away.
Matty Skoltz, he gave it his all. He tried getting up there at the start, and he was for the most part, but he just did not have Jake Gagne's pace. I was actually surprised because once I saw Bobby Fong move up, you know, getting there, I said, if he gets Tony Elias, I think he might be able to get by Matthew Skoltz, but Skoltz didn't back down.
No, but Matt still had to come through the pack a little bit. It looked like he, you know, if he could have got off right behind Jake, you never know. Maybe he could have got behind him. But, you know, we've never really seen Jake gets a good start and just pulls away right away. But Matt rode a great race, came through the pack, and then when Bobby was catching him, you know, he didn't make any mistakes under the pressure.
What are we at as far as laps led? Because we know he had the mechanical DNF at the first round. When we were at Laguna, weren't we saying that he's led every lap at Laguna, right? Because when he come across the checkered, he was still in front, even though he'd lost position. Has he led every lap except for that first round?
Pretty close. I mean, I don't know if he's led.
I mean, I'm thinking that first day.
There's a good chance of it. I mean, he hasn't. There's not too many laps he hasn't led.
We need to get our statistician Sean Bice on that thing. I know the guys in the truck. We might have that for you at the next round because that. Now that I think back on it, I mean that is something that I really have never seen. But Gagne, Skoltz, Fong, Elias, another good run. I mean, fourth. If he would have finished fourth yesterday, we'd still been talking about what a great run. It was just, you know, he finished on the podium yesterday in second. So The fourth doesn't seem like it's quite as good, but it's still a remarkable finish for Tony Elias.
Yeah, it's still a great ride coming through for him. He got a great start as always, and it just looks like toward the end of the race, he just didn't have that pace as the other guys had. I don't know if he made some changes overnight, but to come in here this weekend on a bike and a team he's never worked with or a bike he's never rode, come in here and get 2 top 4 finishes is pretty impressive.
Loris Baz having to work his way up. He got up into 5th, 6th, reasonably earlier, and they look like, okay, this is where I'm going to have to settle in. That's all I got left, whether he pushed the tire a little bit too hard or not. Cam Peterson stayed behind him. I thought he was going to try and fight to the end, but he still comes up 4 seconds behind Baz. Baz, a good showing, but it's still just a top 5.
No, good show. And even when Baz got into 5th, he really didn't make too much headway to the guys in front of him.
Yeah, Bobby Fong did for sure. You see him smiling out there. He was looking forward to today. Oh, there's those crazy guys. Once again, the crew. Looking forward to seeing the CFE crew when we go to New Jersey as well. We'll send it down trackside. Our crew next door.
Yeah, we just getting started. Yeah, we're so hot-blooded. Get your engines running. Let's go!
What we're witnessing is greatness in action. Boy, we thought what Cameron Beaubier did last year was incredible, but Gagne continues to set new records here in HONOS Superbike in MotoAmerica on his way to his podium celebration. Let's take a look at these results. 5.7 seconds to margin of victory. Bobby Fong, what a hard-fought third-place finish. Breaking Tony Elias's heart, but still a great weekend from Tony. And Loris Baz from 11th to 5th. So let's get right down the winner's circle and hear from our winner.
Greg, the streak continues for Jake Gagne. As you mentioned, 13 in a row, lucky number 13. Jake, another outstanding weekend for you. Is there anything that you would have liked to do differently or better?
I mean, I don't know. After yesterday, I knew everybody would be on it today. They'd be chasing me down even more, and everybody stepped it up today. Even us, we made a couple improvements to this bike, but again, I say it every time, hats off to this fresh and lean attack Yamaha. This whole crew's working their butts off, and no matter what, we want to go faster, and these boys keep chasing us, and we got no choice but to keep going. And again, hats off to the fans. It's great. We all love this track. This makes for some great racing, and thanks to all the fans watching at home. Happy birthday, Dad. He's Friday the 13th the other day, so for 13 wins, that's pretty amazing. It's surreal. A ride home. It's Alpine Stars, fresh and lean. Thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. We'll be back in a couple weeks.
Congrats, Jake. Thanks. Let's get over to Jamie with who I'm sure is a very happy second place finisher.
For Matthew Skoltz, Hannah, it is his career best season so far. Now 10 podium finishes, able to move up one more step today from 3rd to 2nd. Matthew, you made changes overnight. It gave you the confidence to make that pass on Tony Elias. When you're gelling so well together as a team, what confidence does that give you as the rider?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt from the opening couple laps that I had something on Tony, but he's really hard to get past. He really gets out of the corner as well. And he breaks deep too, so it was a difficult couple laps to try to get past him. Once I did, I tried to put some heaters down, but kind of got to the halfway point. And I managed to close in on Jake 1 or 2 laps, but then he saw that and he just stepped it up. Jake's on a different level right now, but I feel like we're getting better, like we're closing the gap to him slightly. We just have to carry on working on the drive by the corners a little bit more. And yeah, next up we go to Jersey and to Jersey and Barber, which are 2 of my favorite tracks. So I'm really looking forward to that.
More good things to come for Matthew Skoltz, our second place finisher. Hannah?
Jamie, for Bobby Fong, after some tough luck yesterday, he made his way from 26th to 8th in the field. Today, he made his way straight to the podium. How were you able to kind of overcome yesterday and be here today for this kind of success?
It's definitely been a roller coaster of a year, but I've fought through worse challenges before, so we just kept our head held high and we just kept charging. I felt like I had something at the end, but I got a little too handsy with the throttle the last 2 laps and was just kind of spinning in one place. But man, these guys rode awesome and kept me honest, and it was a good race with Tony and the whole group of us for a while. So I'm happy to be back up here, and my M4S car Suzuki is handling good again.
Always great to see a smile on Bobby Fong's face, guys, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Good to see him back in the podium after a 3-race win season last year. So looking for the first one. We'll be back to Pitt Race in a moment.
of thoughts from the podium, Roger, after listening to those guys? I know that, like even Matty said, he's looking forward to the next 2 rounds, 2 of his favorite tracks, but he said gaining a little bit, but it seems like every time they feel like they're gaining a little bit, he finds that little extra. What did you see earlier? The best time, a 1:40.5. Best time by Bat Skoltz, a 40.6, but it's Gagne's ability to do it a few times.
It just seems like Jake can always step up when he needs to. He always has a couple tenths in his back pocket. He gets a really, I always point out to you in every practice and qualifying, like how fast he gets up. It's his very first lap, and then he does it in a race, and he gets a 2-second lead, within a couple laps, and after that he can kind of pace himself, take the chances when he needs to. Like even, we've seen him catch some lappers. He doesn't have to force his way through there, and I know all these guys are working hard to catch him, but also, Jake has a really experienced crew around him, so they know that they can't just, be satisfied where they're at. They got to keep digging and getting better.
My first foray into MotoAmerica a couple of years ago, and I saw him, come into that season injured, training on a motocross bike, and Corn Dog are laughing at something. But, I didn't get to see the real, Jake Gagne, and I saw him. He was on the Scheibe bike. Last year I saw him, but he's kind of getting overshadowed by his teammate Cameron Bobier. Now I'm seeing all this talk that I had heard, like just how fast Jake was growing up, and this kid's fast. I didn't get to see that quite the way. Now I am seeing that every single week, and you saw it from the get-go when we did the tire test at COTA. He just looked comfortable. He looked happy. It looked like almost they're building that bike for him. It's a perfect scenario for Jake Gagne right now, and I don't know what they found with Bobby Fong, but I'd like to see. I've watched him, these past few races. He's always got the determination, but he looks more comfortable on his bike as well.
Yeah, he looked really good today, and it's good to see. Bobby's had a lot of little issues this year, and but he never gives up. He doesn't make a lot of excuses. You don't hear him, whenever he's talking, he just talks about how him and his team need to do better and all that. So he says all the right stuff, and I know they're working hard. And today, for him to get on the podium, that's 2 podiums in the last 2 races. So it looks like he got one at the last race at Brainerd. It looks like he's getting things turned around.
High five, very nice for the fresh and lean attack performance Yamaha of Jake Gagne. Looking back through, I see Jake Lewis, the top finisher on his Suzuki, finished in 9th today ahead of Hayden Gilliam and Travis Wyman for that Superbike Cup points, excuse me. Hector Barbera, he had gotten passed by Kyle Wyman, but Hector got him there towards the stripe. That was a good move by him. Those guys didn't back down to the very end. Hector got the better end of it.
No, those two had a great battle all the way through till the end of the race, going back and forth. Didn't get to see what happened on the last lap, but Barbera got him somewhere and got 7th.
Shows you just not to he's not going to back down. And I heard somebody in the paddock going, where would he be if he was on a top-level Suzuki or Yamaha? Where would it? We know he has the ability. And it was the guy who's been winning all the races said, you just don't know. You don't know if he would go out there and win.
Or the new BMW.
Right. Yeah, right. Same manufacturer. Give him the fresh stuff, see what he can do. Either way, very impressive. Hector Barbera, 7th ahead of Kyle Wyman, Jake Lewis, and Hayden Gilliam rounding out the top 10. Let's go back next door to Greg and Jason in the Fox crew.
Today's Superbike race coverage has been sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. By Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series. And by HONOS, the apparel brand promoting talent within the adrenaline sports realm.
Pittsburgh, beautiful city. We are about 40 miles northwest of downtown here at Pitt Race in Wampum, Pennsylvania. Highlights from race number 2, Jason. It was a good start for the field, really.
Yeah, same old, though, for the number 32. Gets that whole shot into turn number 1, and he would go to put his head down. However, the field stayed a little bit closer today. You can see early on here, his weekend teammate Tony Elias is running in second as Gagne pushed to get away up over the top of the hill, coming onto the front straightaway. Matthew Skoltz rode really, really well today. Maybe one of the best races I've seen out of him all year long, Greg, in the sense that he had to get by Tony, and that was no easy task. Once he did, he solidified that second place really nicely. Bobby Fong goes up underneath Tony Elias, gives him a little wave of sorry because it might have been a little bit late. Tony goes back by, but Bobby Fong gets right back by him, maybe 4 corners later, and he'd go on to get a 3rd place after yesterday's mini disaster. But Jake Gagne up front just keeps rolling along. Points gap's gotten bigger. Only 5.7 seconds today, though, over Matthew Skoltz. So good result for the Westby rider and Bobby Fong.
So Jake Gagne gets to celebrate once again on top of the podium with his crew chief. We'll be back to Pit Race with more after this.
The Hill people are alive and well out there. She's finished whatever. Hey, does she have one of your lemon shake-ups, Roger?
Yep, she does.
She's got that lemon shake-up you've been talking about the whole time. And, yeah, there you go, making you jealous,
See,
brother.
she should bring me one.
Yeah. Roger Hayden was. Here, you can have the rest. What's left of hers. Good job, Roger. You've been learning from the Michael Hill School of Mooching. We don't go anywhere. We still have the Sportbike TrackGear.com Juniors. We also have a Stock 1000 race that had been moved back. This is our final break as they wrap up our HONOS Superbike. There's the Van Clan, the SportBikeTrackGear.com crew over there. Even they go on the hill. That's a great video. I haven't been over there to watch because I've always been in here, but it's supposed to be the best one around.
It is. I've went over there and watched during some of the practices and qualifying, and even a couple years ago, and just it's really cool, especially when you get to watch those Superbikes come over that rise in turn 2, just how much those guys are really fighting the bikes.
Well, remind everyone to go check out the merchandise booth. You can visit the official MotoAmerica merchandise trailer in the fan zone. They have everything you need, including hats, shirts, jackets, hoodies, masks, sanitizer, including Mission King of the Bagger apparel. Hey, Roger, you got an umbrella. I saw that was from your helmet. That was
from a ride.
That was an Orion one. I was like, maybe they can go get an umbrella over there as well because they look good. And maybe that's the MotoAmerica Live Plus umbrella. We don't even have one of those. I'll take one of those to go, please. Yes, I will. Hey, Mosatis Motorsports, Pittsburgh's ultimate enthusiast power sports superstore. Find us online at MosatisMotorsports.com. That's MOSITES Motorsports.com. You got that smile on your face, Roger. It's good to get a little giggle out of you every now and then. Hey, we're getting ready, and we will have a chance in a minute to talk about the juniors. But this is going to be a really good one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think those first 2 rows, I think any one of those 6 could win this race coming up.
I mean, after yesterday's race, they had 5 of them going for it all the way till the end. And with, Cody Wyman getting back in there today, I think he can be there. He's been fast all week, so hopefully all those guys get a good start. But I think Tyler Scott is going to come out, get his head down right out of the way, and try to make a break.
I'd like to thank all of our sponsors that help make this event possible, like Geico. Whether it's 2 strokes, 4 strokes, for savings, get Geico for your motorcycle and ATV insurance. See how much money you could save on insurance for your next street bike, dirt bike, ATV, UTV, and more. And Mission Foods, the world's leading brand for tortillas and wraps, welcomes you to this event. Mission Foods focuses on the highest quality, authentic flavors, and providing healthy options that families and friends can enjoy together. And Dunlop, the Dunlop SportMax Q4, the ultimate track day and club racing tire featuring quick warm-up, no tire warmers needed, in the same construction and compounds as Dunlop's full race tires used in MotoAmerica competition for maximum feel and grip. Made in the same factory on the same machines as the MotoAmerica Race Slicks. Dunlop is the official tire of MotoAmerica Racing. You can visit DunlopMotorcycleTires.com to learn more about the ultimate in track day performance, the Q4. We still have 2 more races to go. We're going to wrap up the Fox Sports show on this one. MotoAmerica Superbikes at Pittsburgh returns.
Back here at Pitt Race, with more race action underway. Fans enjoying a spectacular day. Weather perfect for race action. And Jason, let's take a look at these championship standings, because we're looking at the gap that Jake Gagne has over the rest of the field. It's 93. Keep in mind, the last 2 races of the season, we have 3 HONOS Superbike races per. So you may think to yourself, well, there's only 100, there's still 150 points left. So it's like basically once Jake gets a larger margin, then whatever points are left, he's going to win this championship. But Jay, I think it's really important if you're the rest of the field. There are only 2 events left. We understand that. But it's like, what is Gagne doing to get up to speed so fast? And how do we even knock him off pole so we can at least get a nice run to turn number 1 and try to get him behind us?
It's hard to do that, and they're chipping away at it. And we're going to a track in New Jersey that's our shortest lap time of the year. So that could be a place where we could see the competition get a little bit closer to him. But right now, he's just on a roll.
Well, you can see we're going to be back at it September 10th through the 12th with coverage on the 11th and 12th from New Jersey Motorsports Park for our penultimate round. We hope to see you there. For Hannah, Jamie, and Jason, I'm Craig. We will see you in a couple of weeks' time for more HONOS Superbike race action.